ankle injury, but the SEC's leading scorer will play tonight. Tennessee and LSU coming up next.
Proximity, passion, and past performances are integral ingredients for a rivalry.
Tonight it's LSU. Last year, LSU was regular season champions, champions of the West. We won the East. LSU won the prize, Tennessee didn't. It's a rivalry.
Tonight, Glenn Big Baby Davis brings his game to the Smoky Mountains to face the SEC's best contested shooter, Chris Lofton, as Tennessee hosts LSU. It's rivalry week when friends and families are divided.
Top. It just...
You say either, I say either. You say neither, and I say neither. Either, either, and either, neither. Let's call the whole thing off.
Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee.
It just brings back the...
Laissez le bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll, baby.
Dave and Nat and Andrea and Emily with all of this tonight in Knoxville, a sea of orange, as the Volunteers take the court on their home floor where they have not lost a game all year. And a huge matchup as a coach that knows how to reach the summit and has so 6 times hopes that the men's team can do what she's done in this city. Bruce Pearl's off to a pretty good start in just his 2nd year. It is Super Tuesday presented by Lexus, and it brings us to Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee. And Rivalry Week presented by Cisco as the Tigers of LSU at 13-9 against the Volunteers of Tennessee at 15-8. The last time these two teams met, it was in Baton Rouge last year, and it was an LSU win. And it was courtesy of the Big Baby and Tyrus Thomas in Baton Rouge last year. 88-74 was the final as LSU to return the favor tonight. Welcome, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler with Jimmy Dykes. East against West, the 2 best from last year. Not the best right now. They're struggling. They both big time need a win tonight, Jimmy.
Yeah, they really do. Why can't we all just get along, though, huh? I mean, you're Jazz, I'm Country.
That's
we
right.
like each other, but not the case tonight. You think about this ball game. Just 3 weeks ago, both these clubs were in the top 25 in the country. Now they're playing for their NCAA tournament life. LSU, they're running out of opportunities for resume wins. This would be one tonight.
Chris Lofton is back tonight. He's part of the Star Watch, the top 2 scorers right here in the SEC tonight.
We look at Glenn Davis. He will be double teamed tonight, but it will be a small double team. Big Baby could have big numbers in this ball game because of it. Chris Lofton, he's back, only about 80%, but still one of the best contested shooters in all of college basketball.
Take a look at the Liberty Mutual starting lineups on the left side for John Brady and LSU. Temple, Mason in the backcourt, Mitchell, Davis, and Roll up front. And for Bruce Pearl and the Volunteers, you see Chris Lofton, part of that 3-guard offense with the Smiths, Ramar and Jawan, Dane Bradshaw, and Wayne Chisholm up front. Third member of our team with more on Chris Lofton. Here's Heather Cox. Heather?
Brad, Chris Lofton returns to the court just 2 weeks after an ankle injury that many experts believed would keep him out for the remainder of the season. But Lofton attacked his rehab like he attacks his game, literally slept in the training room to receive treatment 24/7. Now, he injured that ankle on January 20th in what his athletic trainer said was one of the worst ankle injuries he'd ever seen. Lofton did look a little ginger in warm-ups and told me he's about 80%. And his coach, Bruce Pearl, said he'd play him about 20 minutes tonight. They'll have a trampoline on the sideline, a bike in the locker room, all in an effort to keep his ankle warm and available throughout the game, Brad.
There was some concern whether they should start him or bring him off the bench, but the trainers felt for the most part is once you're warmed up, stay warmed up. And with those wraps on both legs, one just to match the other one is for effect and one's for looks. He's back out there, and it's a different looking team with him on the floor. The officials, Jim Berg, Tim Higgins, and Mike Nance. Here we go, LSU and Tennessee.
And Garrett Temple, 14 in purple, is matched up with Lofton. Garrett Temple, one of the best defenders in all of college basketball.
Collision inside between Lofton and Big Baby, and that's the kind of collision you don't want to get into with a bad ankle. They both hit the deck. Opening possession for Tennessee. Chisholm way out on top, is going to drop it off. Ramar Smith averaging 10 points a game, running things at the point with 6 on the shot clock. Lofton lost the handle, but they're going to say a foul on Temple. Well, Temple, such a great defender, but that's not the way he wanted to start the game. with the first foul of the ball game. Time to step up, Jimmy.
Well, if you're LSU again, I think you've got an opportunity here tonight for a quality resume win at Kentucky and Florida. Those are your 3 games left to make a statement. For Tennessee, they've lost 6 of their last 8. 3 of their last 4, though, were without Chris Lofton.
Yep.
That will be highlighted on their resume in front of that selection committee.
And in that 6 of the last 8 losses, 4 of those games by 1 possession. And for LSU, they've had a couple of close losses, Alabama and Georgia, and then an 85-78 loss to Mississippi State puts them in a 5-game losing streak. And Chris Lofton going to the free throw line for 3 freebies. John Brady trying to fire up his troops in his 10th year as the head coach in Baton Rouge. And he's going to be down 3 points if Lofton makes all 3, and he does. So there's the opener for Chris Lofton. 3 15-footers, and he buries all of them, and that'll probably help his shooting stroke as he goes along, too. 3-0 Tennessee.
Interesting how LSU breaks the press the first time. They get it in the hands of Big Baby and let him bring it up against the other team's 5-man.
Damian Mason out there with Garrett Temple.
But have really struggled shooting the basketball. Right around 30% from the 3-point line is LSU. Really bottles up Glenn Davis.
Davis with a left hand. Nice move. Didn't quite finish it. And an over-the-back foul called underneath.
Tennessee doesn't come with a double team early on Davis. Look at him operate one-on-one. The double team comes late. Allows him to get to the front of the rim, but doesn't finish. But if he continues to not be double teamed, Glenn Davis is going to get those drops.
Roll picked up the foul. Tennessee second possession, leading by 3 free throws. Lofton, great backdoor cut and a perfect pass to Chisholm.
And you can talk about not having Chris Lofton on the floor as a shooter. This year, he's much more than a shooter, Brad. He's also a guy that can take his own shot off the bounce and will set others up.
Temple going to coast, and they're going to say wave it off. That'll be a second foul. And that's big-time trouble for LSU in the opening minute and a half.
And why is that big-time trouble? That is the only resemblance of a point guard that John Brady can put on the floor. The second part, and maybe more importantly, this is a lockdown, blanket you defender on Chris Lofton. If he's out, Lofton could go for huge numbers in this ball game.
Lofton gives it up to Bradshaw, and he's Mr. Everything. Scraps for everything he gets, and he's played every position except the one he was recruited to play here, and that's point guard. Bruce Pearl's done such a wonderful job. The enthusiasm in this time now for men's basketball. I don't know if it'll ever equal what Pat Summitt's team has brought to this arena, but certainly the men's basketball program last year, great strides. And speaking of great strides, not a bad one by Tasman Mitchell there on the hook shot. Underneath is Smith, and he's fouled. And Lamar's going to go to the free throw line. We'll try to keep the Smiths in order for you tonight as Lamar and Jawan both start for Tennessee.
And this kid at the free throw stripe over the last 3 weeks has really been developed into a 13, 14 point a game scorer. He does it by making tough twos. Now, can he make tough twos in this ball game tonight against the length and those long bodies that LSU has to protect the rim?
He was a 2-guard in high school, so the fact that for the most part he's playing the point for Tennessee is a little bit different. Here they come with some full court pressure. LSU has a little bit of difficulty getting it in, and now into the hands of Mitchell.
Tennessee will change up that full court pressure though, Brad. Sometimes they'll trap, sometimes they don't. Sometimes a guy on the ball, sometimes not.
To the last 4 games. That changed tonight when Lofton started, but still very young team.
The double team comes late. After he puts the ball on the floor, the double team comes on Davis.
Nice ball movement by LSU, but they can't knock down the 3 from the outside in the person of Mitchell. Lofton again, that first step not as quick as normal, but that one's not too bad, and tipped in by Chisholm.
I would say the ankle is healthy enough for Lofton to be a 20-point scorer in this ball game.
He's been running the stadium steps here at Thompson-Boling since about last Thursday, so it's probably not quite as gimpy as everybody thinks. And it's certainly looked good there on that move to the baseline. Here he comes to help up on Davis. A triple team momentarily on the big guy. Temple pull up from the free throw line. Again, missed it from the outside, and it's Bradshaw with a rebound. Tennessee looking to run with a 6-point lead. Bradshaw pull up three. In and out. Davis with a rebound.
Going to see a quick trigger ball club in transition. Bradshaw will pull and pop. Lofton will pull and pop. Juwan Smith will pull and pop.
Nice feed inside of the big fella. Good look by Mitchell. Glenn Davis has got his first two, coming off 27-10 in the loss at Mississippi State over the weekend. And he leads the conference in double-doubles with 12. Lofton waiting for a pick and now goes back the other way and drives again and throws it up high. And this one's deflected underneath and then thrown away by Roll. So LSU gives it right back. 10th year already for John. 14-2. Tennessee went 12-4. LSU won the West. Tennessee won the East. Last year Tennessee was picked by the so-called experts in about that 5 or 6 spot and ended up with a 12-4 record.
You see those flex cuts along the baseline that Tennessee uses. Very similar to what Maryland and Gary Williams has used over the years. Just letting those 3 guys operate off the base cuts.
Off the glass, Juwan Smith with a little hang time. His first basket.
Smith primarily a 3-point threat, though. He takes 9 3-point shots a game and only 4 2-point shots a game. LSU forced him to dribble into his shot that time.
Between he and Lofton, they have 133 triples between them. And that's more than the whole LSU team has, just with those 2 Tennessee shooters.
Big Baby has got to get deeper touches. He has not caught the basketball yet in the orange part of the floor.
Yeah, he turned around and took about a 13-foot jumper and missed it off the iron, and Bradshaw's got another rebound. Here's a pull-up 3 going the other way. And foul from behind on Davis. And that's going to be on Duke Cruz. 10-4 here during a rivalry week, and rivalry week continues in a moment.
Your passionate pursuit of perfection. And in part by Cisco. Welcome to the Human Network.
Just over 5 minutes in, Tennessee by 6. That happens to be as many banners as this coach has put in the rafters. Who's with Heather Cox right now?
Hall of Famer Pat Summitt, undefeated in the SEC, a big win over Georgia last night, but we're a little over a month away from March Madness. How do you grade out your team right now? Because you guys have lofty goals.
Well, Heather, it's like this. There's a lot of basketball yet to be played, but as far as our basketball team right now, I really like where we are. I think we are growing. I think we can get a lot better.
Now, the women's teams and the men's teams support each other and, shall we say, share a little love. In fact, just about a week and a half ago, Coach Pearl came out topless in your game against Duke, painted with a couple of his players with gold balls across his chest. Are there any plans for, shall we say, a retaliation from you, Coach?
Well, I won't be painting my chest, Heather, but yeah, I think we've got something up our sleeve, either for the Kentucky men's game or maybe the Florida game. Definitely got to pay Bruce back. That's special.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Coach, and best of luck throughout the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thanks, Heather.
One of the best coaches in any sport, anywhere, and we're involved in both of those games, so I'm going to get to see whatever coach has up her sleeve.
She stepped on the practice floor today, and she was all smiling with Heather and I and talking, and then the whistle blew to begin practice.
Forget it.
And forget it. It was on at that point. That's why she's good.
Davis with an over the back picks up his first foul.
Third in the nation right now, and one of the teams you talk about on the women's side that has a legitimate shot to win it all.
Tennessee 6-point lead. And they've changed up some bodies during that last time out. Giving some guys a little bit of time here. The outside jumper won't go. Rebound, and they move it back out. Juwan Smith for 3, in and out. And LSU will have it. Tasman Mitchell.
Let's watch Big Baby work right now offensively. Does he get a deep post touch, and do his teammates recognize where he is on the floor?
Zoog, nice feed on the baseline. 3-pointer goes for Mitchell. His 28th of the year. He's got 5, and he makes it a 3-point game.
And if he can just make some shots, because he's a kid, Brad, only shooting 20% from the 3-point line in conference play. This allows the defense to suffocate Big Baby.
Almost turn it over on the inside as Cruz now back outside. Childress can't get it, but the step back's good on the inside. And now a steal. And one. Big swing right there.
That is when Tennessee is at their best. They try to get 3 or 4 scoring flurries per half, and they trigger it off of their baseline pressure after a made basket. This time they come with a big, and the big is certainly a distraction to throw around. 2 points and the foul.
Duke Cruz, highly touted recruit out of Hampton, Virginia, at the free throw line trying to cap the three-point play, and does.
And he's right back on the baseline out of bounds guy with a long wingspan and trapping in the corner. Tough to break it.
And Matt Davis having to handle the ball in the front court again. LSU guards are going to be having to do a better job of the ball handling. Let Big Baby worried about being on a low block. Here's the feed inside, a roll, rejected by Cruz. And now the possession arrow will keep it on LSU's end. Rivalry week presented by City.
I know you've done the Duke-Carolina men's game. I did the Duke-Carolina women's game last year. You talk about electric. It's got to be in the top 5 of all in-state rivalries overall, men and women. Thursday.
That's one night after the men will do it. Here we're under the 13-minute mark and an 8-point lead, biggest of the ball game for the Volunteers on their home floor. LSU has not shot the ball well. Voog, tough rebound to keep it alive.
Davis hadn't had a touch yet on this possession. There's his first touch, and again, he's catching it outside the painted area of the floor.
Tim Higgins calls a foul.
And boy, fall asleep on the out-of-bounds play by Tennessee, and the size inside by LSU takes over.
Boy, that was a great look, Voog, just with a quick entry pass. And Mitchell with a chance now for a three-point play. That was a little bit of payback for what happened on the other end. Taz Mitchell, under 18 scorer in the conference, under 14 a game, and he's off to a great start with 8 points here. And we're not even at the midway point of the first half.
Talking about LSU coming in struggling in a downward spiral, but then this is the same LSU squad that has beaten Texas A&M, one of the few teams to do it. So they are more than capable of rattling off 5, 6, 7 wins in a row in this league.
See if Tennessee gets Chris Lofton a touch this trip. Well, he opens up things for other people. They don't want to forget about him. Childress will try a three. Got it. Ryan Childress, his 10th three-pointer of the year.
If you're recruited by Bruce Pearl, even if you're a big, you have to have the ability to stretch the defense with jump shots. Childress can do it.
Now down 8 again, the Tigers. Mitchell. And the rebound comes off to Lamar Smith.
Boy, and only one purple jersey went to the offensive glass. LSU's too long and too quick to not be a terrific offensive rebounding club. So far in SEC play, they have not been.
Nope. Everybody's standing around right now on a traveling call on Duke Cruz. So the three-pointer for Tennessee. They're number 1 in the conference in three-pointers made per game, including from reserve guys like Ryan Childress, filling it from the outside. Welcome back to Knoxville, Tennessee. Their biggest lead of the first half, up by 8. Coming up later this week, one of sports' top rivalries as both men and women take center stage. Against number 16. Both teams with 3 national titles. Duke's won 8 of the last 10. And both teams coming off losses, and we saw one of them over the weekend. NC State pulled off the win over North Carolina in Raleigh.
And Brad, think about Duke right now. They're 5-4 in the ACC. They play North Carolina tomorrow night. They still have to go at Maryland, at Boston College, at Clemson, at North Carolina. It's not beyond the possibility that Duke could end up with 8, maybe 9 losses in the ACC. Now that might be a stretch, but that could happen.
I can't figure out either one of these conferences. You and I spent most of the year in the ACC and the SEC, and I'm sorry. I don't get it. They're beating up on each other, that much I know.
I think that's why it's the top 2 leagues in the nation, because of that depth in that 5th, 6th, and 7th slot that these 2 leagues, the SEC and ACC, can throw at you.
It is RPI-wise as well. ACC number 1, SEC number 2 as Terry Martin knocks down his 35th 3 of the year. And Jawan Smith says, wait a minute, I think I got one for you.
You know, he's a rhythm guy, especially going to his left, Jawan Smith. When he gets that little half step going left, it's almost good as gold.
Lazar that time got up in midair, and I think he just lost it on his own. Tennessee works it around and now packs it inside to Chisholm. And the rebound will come off to Martin.
Tennessee's been all man-to-man defense so far in this ball game. Kind of conservative man-to-man off the ball. Been trying to surround sound Glenn Davis, and there it is.
That's the 4th LSU turnover.
Done a good job, Tennessee has, Brad, of coming with different guys on Glenn Davis. They're keeping him guessing right now.
Here's Voog trying to go all the way, lost it. Great feed underneath to Lazar.
And when Tack Minor got dismissed from this LSU basketball team because of academic reasons, Ben Voog became an important guy, and his confidence has gone up just the last couple of ball games, knowing that Minor's not on the floor, he's not in the rotation, I'm going to get to play.
Lofton, deep 3, probably forced that shot. I think he wants to take a couple to see if he can get in rhythm, because he's just not handling it right now. And you got to give Tennessee credit. They're up 6, and it's not because of Chris Lofton. He's got the opening 3 free throws of the ball game, and that's it.
Think about this, though. Tennessee can't get Chris Lofton sensitive in this ball game. If he misses shots or doesn't get shots, they can't let it affect him.
Nice drive by Terry Martin through traffic. And Tennessee has seen enough. Bruce Pearl's going to take a quick timeout. His lead has been cut to 4 with 9:13 to go first half. Tennessee by 4. Chris Lofton with a towel on his shoulder there in the thick of things, trying to be in the thick of things in this ball game.
Well, he is, and his teammates can't be Chris Lofton sensitive. And what I mean by that is, you see it before the ball game, still really favors possession, boom, just gets ran smooth over by Big Baby. But he's shown enough stuff to let you know that he's back in the flow of the system right now. It's a good crossover dribble, goes baseline. But now how will that ankle hold up for the rest of this ball game? If he doesn't make shots and he can't get open, his teammates can't become Chris Lofton sensitive and think, oh no, we're not as good as we were when he was once healthy. A lot of teams are offensive sensitive. Right. He can't be Lofton sensitive.
He's 0 for 3 from the floor, 0 for 1 from 3-point distance. His points all came from the free throw line, the opening points of the ball game. That's the way it stands right now for Chris, who's out there with 9 on the shot clock, and Bradshaw dribbling his direction. Bradshaw gets a pick, and he's going to have to put it up himself off the glass, and got his own miss, reverse layup, and that's what he does so well. Davis hook pass for Baby down to Lazar, and he put it on the floor and probably shouldn't have turned it over.
Absolutely no reason to, was there? Just catch it and attack the rim.
I don't know. He's 6'8", and he made himself about 4'11" by putting it on the floor on the low block. The 5th LSU turnover. And now a whistle and a foul. Dave Revson's got a Sports Center 30 at 30 for us. Dave?
News on anytime.
All right, Dave, keep us posted. Chris Lofton back to the free throw line where he's 4 for 4. And, of course, signing day tomorrow. Everybody all fired up in Knoxville about that, because most people feel that Phil Fulmer's recruiting class is in the top 5 in the country. And then if you're not all excited about that, there's one Peyton Manning that used to play a little football in this city. And they're a little bit excited about what he did on Sunday.
They have another Peyton Manning coming in? That would be my question.
I don't know if you ever get another Peyton Manning coming in here.
You know, Phil Fulmer was actually texting guys from the Super Bowl. That's a great job of recruiting, isn't it? With the game scramble, that's where they're at their best.
Tab misses. They still keep it alive with the offensive rebound on the baseline. They're going to get a 3rd try out of here, or a 4th try maybe. Nope, they won't. 25-17, 8-point lead. Speaking of Peyton Manning, his name's all over this town, as well it should be. How great was he? We'll talk more about that when we come back.
Knoxville, where Tennessee is still loyal to its favorite son. It's been more than 10 years since Peyton Manning played a down of football for the Vols, but Tennessee still claims Peyton as his own. Back in 2005, his number 16 jersey was retired at Neyland Stadium. He's pledged over $1 million to the University of Tennessee Athletic Department, of course. On Sunday, won Super Bowl MVP honors for the Indianapolis Colts. 9 NFL seasons, and he says he will always be a Vol. And guys, Manning has their allegiance here in more ways than one. The results of an informal survey here in town show that 161 children, all under the age of 12, were named Peyton in honor of their local hero.
Either with a EY or an AY, that many, and that's just unofficially around here. Think about the entire country, whether it's guys or girls. A lot of Peytons out there, and I've met a bunch of them already.
And I've got one dog named Eli after his brother, so you got to factor that in there too. You know
exactly. Well, if we get Archie and Olivia and Cooper in there, we'll have a whole kennel full. Here's another steal and a lay-in again.
On the road, you can't look at the officials and say, I got fouled, I got held. The Tennessee pressure is going to come at you in waves, and you have to handle it.
They got another one. Nope. Yes, they did. Out of bounds. Back-to-back turnovers. Tabs just all over the place.
Brad, you can't fight pressure with pressure. That's what LSU is trying to do right now. They had all 5 purple jerseys on this end of the floor, and that's just creating extra double opportunities for Tennessee. You got to spread that thing out and get that defense thinned out on this end against that Tennessee pressure.
8 turnovers now, and a lot of those caused by this pressure. Here's the give and go. Bradshaw is going to give it up, and he threw it away. Well, they got it right back. Jordan Howell got it back for Tennessee. And the feed inside, Chisholm off the glass, can't connect. And LSU trying to calm things down as they're down double digits for the first time tonight. There's 7:20 remaining in the first half, down 27-17. And those turnovers have not helped the cause. Nice feed inside this time to Davis, and he gets mugged down low on a double team. They're going to call a foul on Chisholm. That'll be his first.
Brad, great job by Big Baby to Brad. He's only getting 3 of his 17 points a game from the free throw stripe in conference play. That equates out to about 20% of his points are coming from the free throw stripe. You want your post guys at this level to get 35 or 40% of their points from the free throw stripe. Caleb Green and Oral Roberts, he's the best in the country at getting fouled as a big guy.
If the big guy comes out and has an average game for him, nice drive and pinned against the glass defensively, and Davis takes it down. If Glenn ends up with 19 points tonight, he'd be at 1,500 for his LSU career. They got a defensive stop for the first time in a long time. Let's see if they can cut further into the lead as we approach the 6.5-minute mark. Backdoor cut, and it looked like Roll wasn't looking for the pass from Temple, but it's still going to be LSU ball on the baseline.
LSU had 2 questions back in November that we knew they had to answer. Number 1, do they have enough perimeter shooting to keep the defense honest on Glenn Davis? And secondly, is their point guard play going to come through? They have not answered either one of those questions, in my opinion.
Davis with a hook came up short. LSU gets another chance, and now a whistle and a foul, and this one I think is going to be on Jordan Howell. At 3 and 5, not the spot they were hoping for. There's Florida, and then most of the coaches around the conference will tell us there's Florida and there's everybody else. To the middle of the pack in a hurry, and that's what LSU is hoping for tonight.
Alabama starting to play like we all thought they maybe were capable of. Ronald Steele maybe getting a little bit better.
Jamario Davidson continuing to come on. He's the player of the week in the conference. Tab looked like he hit a dead spot in the floor. The ball just took off on it. Either a dead spot or a live spot. 27-20. Tennessee, as we are close to 6 minutes and a half.
Well, they keep you spread, don't they?
Yeah. Childers going to have to drive now. Puts it up off the glass, and Ryan Childers has done a nice job off the Tennessee bench. He's got 5.
And that's what keeping your offense spread does for you. It allows the guy at the elbow to just create. The defenders are too far away to come help.
And Mitchell's bumped by Tab and goes down hard. Fans don't like.
After watching that game you and I did Saturday, Carolina, NC State, I think Florida matches them talent per talent.
Yeah.
You go down that list of Green and Humphrey and Brewer and Horford and Noah.
I just don't know if they have the depth Carolina has, but Carolina had depth the other day, but it didn't do them any good because they played 12 guys, but the bottom 7 guys didn't do anything statistically to help them win.
But you just go the top 7 guys for Florida down through Walter Hodge and Chris Richard. They match talent for talent what North Carolina can put on the floor. That 8th, 9th, and 10th guy, they seldom come into effect in a one-game shot like those two teams might meet in Atlanta.
Well, a little bit of pushing and shoving between Cruz. Figures now. With 10. The lead has been Tennessee's throughout the game, from the opening 3 free throws by Chris Lofton to the 10-point bulge they've had on a couple of occasions.
LSU's defense isn't pushing Tennessee that far out on the floor. That's where they want to run their offense. Look at those guards up top. All that spacing creates those drive opportunities. There it is again.
Well, not the greatest move by Lamar Smith, but he did draw the foul, so he's going to go to the free throw line. And Terry Martin picks up his second personal.
He has not been able to make those tough twos that Lamar Smith normally makes. But what he has been able to do is get into the lane and get himself to the free throw stripe. So if he converts them, it's just as good as a tough two.
He's 1 out of 2 from the stripe tonight. He is the leading freshman scorer in the SEC in league games. If you just consider the SEC games, he's the leading scorer at 14.9 a ball game. But overall, he's averaging just over 10 a game. Missed the second. And LSU having trouble getting it out of there, trying to get a timeout, and I think they got it. They did. A little bit of traveling violation or a turnover, but they got the timeout called with 5:20 remaining in the first half, 30-22. We understand a great finish in the Big East. Dave Revson's got more on that. David? Our games in high definition on ESPN HD. Duke and North Carolina is blacked out in the ACC markets. 30-22 here. Brad Nessler, Jimmy Dykes, Heather Cox with 5 and change remaining in Knoxville. Tennessee is led throughout the game by as many as 10 and now lead by 8. But LSU's got the ball as we approach the 5-minute mark. LSU has had turnover trouble throughout the game. Big Baby and an outside jumper from the elbow can't go. And he still has only 1 field goal.
And Brad, he didn't get pushed to that spot on the floor. He chose to go out there way too early in that offensive possession. He's got to lock down on that block and demand that basketball for LSU to have that chance to win this ball game.
Tennessee trying to get it to the inside and instead take a long 3. And Childress, great position for the offensive rebound. Ryan Childress, who last year averaged 1 point a game, dropped 20 pounds, added about 7 inches to his vertical jump, and he added about 17 minutes to how much he's going to play tonight if he keeps playing like this off the Tennessee bench. The Tennessee bench averages 22 points a game, and it's hustle plays like this one that Childress just made that's the reason why he's been effective tonight.
It's a nose for the basketball, knows that a three-point shot's going to come out around that 6, 7, 8 foot mark. It's exactly where he positioned himself for a board.
LSU again can't buy the outside jump shot right now. They are ice cold from outside, trail by 10, and it could get worse this trip.
That is what has plagued them all season long. They only average 5 3-point makes a ball game, and it takes them 30% shooting to get it. Those numbers aren't good enough.
Well, they're at 35% right now. That ball tipped away from behind. Tennessee turns it back over. Temple on the run, trying to leave it on the baseline, and even in close, they're having trouble scoring, but they'll try to earn it from the free throw line as we've got Tennessee by 10. It's rivalry week, and it's been a good one for the Tennessee Volunteers on their home floor. Oh, nice tease, Dave. I want to see it right now. I don't know if I can wait 4 minutes. 32-22 now. I'm worried about that game. Let's check in with Heather.
Well, guys, some notes from John Brady in the LSU huddle. He begged his team to be patient on offense. They want to wait for Glenn Davis to establish his presence on the low blocks. They'll set screens for the screener. Davis just 1 of 6 from the field. They want him to have a higher percentage with good shots on the low blocks. Now for Tennessee, they want to force that up-tempo style, so Bruce Pearl continues to put fresh legs in the game. More pursuit and transition. He's asking for more pressure on the traps, guys.
Well, he really has used the bench very effectively tonight. Well, I guess the coaches put him in there. They've been effective. Sometimes there's strategy and sometimes there's execution. In this case, they're both working for Tennessee as far as their bench play tonight. Martin's got 7 now.
You know, if you're Glenn Davis, it can get frustrating when you continue to come down and work and spin off people and try to get angles, and the perimeter guys turn you down time and time again. And that's exactly what John Brady's telling his kids.
Chris Lofton gave it up, but he got it to Ramar Smith. He thought about the three and instead picks up another nice assist.
Let's see what happens. John Brady just told his kids in the timeout, I want you to be patient and let Glenn Davis go to work inside. Let's see how patient they are.
That's not inside. That's top of the key. Now let's see if they get it back down to him on the extra pass. He's trying to work his way in there.
Not working very hard.
No.
Just stationary on the weak side of the floor is Glenn Davis.
Chisholm's just got a hand on his chest, trying to keep him close. And now an offensive foul, and that is 3 on Garrett Temple, Jimmy. And that's not going to help LSU's cause any.
No, he had nowhere to go. The help defense was built in. Glenn Davis just standing and watching away from the basketball. And just watching Glenn Davis today in the shoot-around. Looked a little discouraged, maybe a little frustrated. But again, all the hype and all the things written about him back in October and November, they have just not come through for this club this year. And maybe starting to wear on him. A real test of his character and his determination right now.
Well, I think a lot of it, and this is my guess, I think a lot of it has to do with his personal situation, especially involving his mother, who has been incarcerated several times with a drug problem, and I know that weighs very heavily on him. He's a very emotional young man, and he takes everything to heart. He tries to help his mom out, and you think that's not a burden on a 289-pound guy going up and down the court 40 minutes every night. You're crazy. Not to mention going to school and practice and everything else.
If he comes out after this year, he's a late first-round, early second-round pick, according to scouts that I've talked to.
Nice look. He got the assist and got it down to Vug on the baseline.
I know they scored, and Glenn Davis was involved, but they can't win the ball game when Glenn Davis continues to play out on the perimeter facing the rim. He's got to lock in on that block, and LSU's got to find him.
Here he is defensively on the low block, and he does a pretty nice job. That was their first field goal in 7 minutes, the last trip down. Now they've got an easy one underneath. As Roll rolls with the Tide on the slam, and it's 34-28, and they're right back to within 6.
And because LSU struggles in their half-court offense, they've got to get some of those baskets, Brad, in this ball game. Just create something off of your defense, get to the free throw stripe. Important 2 points off of their run game.
Long 3 by Smith, and that just opens the door for LSU. Tennessee didn't need that shot, where they could have used more clock. And now their trigger happiness from the three-point line has given LSU a chance to make this a ball game at halftime. Minute 20 left in the half.
Davis will step out and either go to work off of the bounce or give it up and go to the block.
Boy, he got the pass
Yes,
down low
did.
again. The assists are coming now from the big guy. Not necessarily the points, and it's a 4-point game with a minute to go in a half. Now, this is going to make the second half a lot more interesting. Nice reverse layup on the dish underneath. The basket by Jawan Smith, and I'm not sure how Ramar got it to him because his headband came down over his eyes, and he still got the dime. That's a blind dime. And a whistle. I think the foul's going to be on Ramar Smith down low. It is. That's his second.
Brad, think about this. Chris Lofton not a factor in this ball game offensively after those first free throws that he made. And usually with a bum ankle like he has, what does he do at halftime, and how does he respond after going in for 20 minutes and sitting down? I know they've got an exercise bike for him. They're going to work that ankle. But he was not effective in the first half when he was loose and ready to go. Coming out of the halftime, Chris Lofton, how does he respond will be a big part of this ball game.
Mitchell's got 13, working on an extra one here and trying to make it again a 4-point game. In and out on the second one. Let's see, Bradshaw was battling underneath with Roll for the rebound, and Bradshaw picks up the foul. And the fans are not going to like that one very well. So now it's free throws, 2 more coming up, this time from Magnum Roll.
Magnum Roll, though, because he's 6'11", Bradshaw did all he could. He executed and boxed off. but Bradshaw's only 6'4". There's those extra 6 or 7 inches that add to Magnum Roll. Rip it and get himself to the free throw strike.
Magnum Roll, a sophomore, played at Laurinburg, North Carolina Prep School, out of Freeport, Bahamas. He's a long drink of water, as Jimmy said. 6'11", not a lot of weight on him. He's got that long wingspan. Here's another guy with a wingspan, pulling down another rebound and another foul underneath as Mitchell, courtesy of Bradshaw picking up his second in the very same manner. He'll go to the free throw line now. Well, this is an odd situation. This is going to be, what, 6 free throws without the ball moving out of that end of the court.
Yep. And again, Bradshaw's the guy involved trying to box off at 6'4", and that's the problem Tennessee has at times. You see one guy on the floor right now, Wayne Chisholm, right there on the floor for Tennessee. I mean, he's the guy that has any size at all. Other than that, they are all guards, and all guards can get dominated on a missed free throw.
Mitchell 5 out of 6 from the free throw line. And he's got a chance now to make it a 2-point game, and it has not been a 2-point game. In fact, it's never been a 2-point game. It started off 3-0, and the lead just kept swelling. This is the first time LSU's been this close, and we're down to the final 20 seconds of the first half. A bit of a collapse by Tennessee, some silly mistakes, some untimely shooting, and LSU has made it a ball game and then some. 10 seconds to go in the half.
I take the last shot if I'm Tennessee. LSU's got some momentum, and you don't want to give them a huge momentum basket by firing too early.
Bradshaw airballed it, but down underneath to stick it back in was Jawan Smith, and a chance for a 3-point play. Shades of Derek Wittenberg to Lorenzo Charles for North Carolina State. This thing never had a prayer. Bradshaw's going to say, it's the longest assist of my career.
Well, look at Damian Mason just flash to the front of the rim as the defensive guy in charge of boxing off, but he allows Smith to get inside position on him as an experienced play by Smith.
So what could have been a 2-point game at halftime could be 5 if Jawan hits the free throw. And he does. He kind of talked that one in. 0.7 seconds, enough time to get a shot away for LSU. But the way Tennessee's been in the backcourt with their pressure, and Big Baby does get one, but at halftime, Tennessee with the lead on their home floor, trying to stay perfect at Thompson Bowling Arena on the season. Volunteers 39, Tigers 34. Dave Revson, the UPS halftime report on deck. Dave.
Thank you, Brad. So some good momentum shifts back and forth there in Knoxville in the closing moments. Coming up in the UPS halftime report, a great football rivalry taking center stage.
Go. Welcome to the Human Network.
Back in action for Tennessee, and ankle looks pretty good there. 39-34. Volunteers on top of LSU. Welcome in. It is the UPS halftime report. Dave Revson, Digger Phelps, and Jay Billis. Start you off in the Big Ten. Michigan still in search of that signature.
Look at him, he looked at me. Right on the lips. Then I gave my first kiss and my teeth, he his teeth. Okay, let's do it again.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It's gorgeous. This Valentine's Day.
Jawan Smith with a dozen in the first half for Tennessee. The ball's on top 39-35 over LSU at the break.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Cisco. Welcome to the Human Network. And in part by NBZip. Energy in, energy out.
Down and out. Don't you begin to what I'm all about. Don't go to the end when you have to start. Acting like a friend, but you are not there.
Back in Knoxville, Super Tuesday presented by Lexus. Just about set to start the second half. Tennessee leads LSU 39-34. Bruce Pearl talked with us about what they would do defensively to the Big Baby, Glenn Davis, and they've done a good job of it tonight.
It's Big Baby versus our diaper dandies is what it really boils down to. He's a great player, and he's playing better this year than he did last year. He just doesn't quite have the same cast of characters. Everybody's been doubling him, big. It's just that we're big, and then there's not another big. So it's a challenge for us. We'll mix it up. We won't go at him every time, but you got to take the ball out of his hands some and make the other guys beat you.
Jimmy, you could see the frustration on his face a couple of times. We take a look at our ESPN game track. Neither team shooting particularly well from the outside or the inside. The points in the paint goes to Tennessee. And Tennessee's done a nice job defensively with the steals and the full court pressure. But Davis, only one game in single digits this year. That was 8 points against Washington back in December. And he has 1 field goal, 3 points for the ball game. So Tennessee's done a great job defensively on him.
Bad news for LSU. Glenn Davis only has 3 points. Good news for LSU. Glenn Davis only has 3 points, Brad, but they only trail 39-34. So you know this guy, he's been averaging 18. He's only got 3. Tennessee has to be concerned about it.
Let's check in with Heather.
Well, an update on the SEC's leading scorer, Chris Lofton. Bruce Pearl said he wants to use him for about 10 minutes here in the second half. He rode the bike throughout halftime in the locker room to keep it loose. And Bruce Pearl smiled and said, hey, anytime we can have him on the court is good. If he's not providing offense, at least he's changing the way LSU plays defense against us. As far as LSU and getting Glenn Davis the ball more, John Brady said, hey, we're getting him looks in the paint. He just has to convert.
We'll see if either of those takes course in this second half. You've got to think the top 2 scorers in the conference are going to come on in this second half. Both these teams in desperate need of this win. And a whistle in the foul, or the basket rather. Chisholm scoring the first basket of the second half. And he's got to retrieve his headband.
I talk about this a lot in ball games. If you look at LSU in the first half, they had 10 turnovers and 10 made baskets. You can't win ball games when that number's even.
Tennessee's done a nice job forcing turnovers this year. They force about 19 a game. Last year, even though they lost in Baton Rouge to LSU, they forced LSU into 25 miscues. So they're almost halfway there here early in the second half. There they got it down low, but Davis can't go up with a shot, and it's Wayne Chisholm that does a nice job defensively.
He got a little quick with his move. That time Glenn Davis did get a post touch, a tight touch to the rim, and he hurried because of it.
Only 7 on the shot clock now. The Tigers have to be aware of that. Mitchell was their man in the first half. He's going to have to be the man here, too, from 18. Lofton pulls off the rebound.
And again, only 1 purple jersey going to the offensive glass. That should be LSU's strength as long as they are.
They got out rebounded by 10 by Mississippi State over the weekend in their 5th straight loss. They're going to be looking down the barrel of a 6-pack here if they don't put something together in the second half. Lofton lost his footing a little bit. I don't know if it was because of his ankle or he just slipped. Seems to be all right.
You know, the hardest game to win when you come back from an injury is the first game you play in. You're testing things out. The teammates are testing around you. Tennessee wins this ball game with Lofton. They could be off and running.
He's done a nice job with assists and almost had another one there. He looks a little bit like he's not running full speed right now, Jimmy, for the first time. And I think it was that slip, even though it was his left foot that gave out, not the one that's injured. He was favoring it, I think, a little bit after that slip. And I got a feeling Bruce Pearl's going to pull him out of here.
No, he's not running near as smooth as he was in the first 20 minutes, Brad. You're right. That slip has done something to that ankle. Just can't move without that basketball either like he did the first 2 months of the season. Number 5 in white.
Bradshaw, a runner, rebound off to LSU. Right now, Tennessee just love a stoppage in play, I think, to get Chris Lofton off the floor. Well, they get a turnover instead, coming back the other way, the 11th LSU turnover. And on the drive, whistle and a foul. Foul is going to be on Tasman Mitchell, and I think you're going to see Chris Lofton heading to the bench. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's Chisholm that's coming out.
And here's the play that had happened. Just the slip right there just put a little extra pressure on that ankle. And from that point on, he has been pretty stagnant, trying to work that thing out without the basketball, just not moving with any.
You can see how flat-footed he is.
Yeah.
And now he comes up. So we were right in that we assumed that Coach Pearl was going to get him out of there, and he comes over there and just slaps 5 with him and doesn't ask him about it. But I think he knows. Ramar Smith, excuse me, at the free throw line has 5. Got them both. Lead back to 7 again. And again, full court heat. This time LSU's got an answer for it. They quickly cross the timeline.
They didn't fight pressure with pressure. They released the guy, kept guy at the timeline. Good job of spacing the floor.
And then they throw it away anyway. That's just a terrible entry pass. They've got to be more careful with the ball or they'll never get back in this thing.
Guards for Tennessee stay high and tight. 2 guard set, frees up shots and driving alleys.
Tab missed a 3. Rebound comes off to Damian Mason. The transfer from Marquette.
Had no easy baskets, though, for LSU. They don't get a guard that drives for others and then kicks for an easy 2 points. Everything's earned with tough passes and tough twos around the rim.
And that was a much better entry pass. Got it down to Roll. Off the hand of Temple. Crowd now realizing that Tennessee's in for a fight, and they've become stagnant, much like Chris Lofton was on the floor with the bad wheel. And Davis comes up with a steal. Ahead on the break. Mason will go to the free throw line.
The reaction to Chris Lofton. There you see the long arm, the length of LSU, what they can do defensively. At times they can be a lockdown 2-point defensive ball club. And again, because they're not smooth in the half court, they've got to get stuff in transition. But this crowd in Tennessee cannot be Chris Lofton sensitive.
Right.
They all came to see the coming back party of Chris Lofton. If it doesn't happen, you still have to play if you're Tennessee and win this basketball game.
Mason got 1 of 2. Let's check in with Heather.
Well, guys, anyone that suffered an ankle sprain knows once you stop, it's hard to start again, and that's exactly what trainer Chad Newman told me about Chris Lofton. It's just a lot stiffer now than it was in the first half. Another change that's atypical is the way he's managing his pain. He hasn't taken any pain meds other than Tylenol because he wanted to be able to gauge the pain level, so certainly feeling a lot more than he has in the days past.
And he'll be feeling a lot more tomorrow morning. On the drive on the baseline, Davis comes up. Intimidating Tab, who went to the rack with it, and he's still double teamed in the backcourt. A hard time getting it out of there.
Fans wanted an elbow call, but it's a proper call because his elbows were moving at the same speed as his torso. That's a proper call and a legit play by Glenn Davis.
Martin picked up his dribble and then just threw a wild pass, but luckily for LSU, Duke Cruz couldn't handle it on the baseline. It'll be LSU ball, trailing by 4. The big guy not doing much on offense, but he's muscling his way around here in Knoxville. This broadcast is available on ESPN HD from Knoxville. Tennessee leads LSU 43-39 on Super Tuesday, presented by Lexus. And Heather Cox has got more from the baseline. Heather.
Indeed, tonight Lowe's home court advantage spotlights the Tennessee Volunteer faithful. Tennessee is the only school ever to be in the top 5 in the nation in attendance in the same season in football, men's and women's basketball. And it's not just once, they've done it 3 different times. This year, the men are 4th in the nation in hoops. Pat Summitt's team leads the nation, and Philip Fulmer's team was 3rd in the nation. So it's just a sea of orange and Rocky Top here in Knoxville.
Well, the big guy knocks down a 3 and a free throw to boot. Oh, no, they're going to say a 2-pointer. That's the best shot of the night by Glenn Davis. Glenn hit the deck. Let's take another look. That was a good call. Mike Nance saw that he had his right foot on the line as Jim Burr was going to give him a 3. Mike took away one. As you see, that big foot, if that wasn't about a 16, if that was about a 12, he'd have had a 3.
You know, he made a good foot fake, but he didn't bring the foot back far enough to give himself that 3-point shot.
He is capable of hitting the 3, though. He's hit 14 this year. Here's the drive and a hook shot and a good-looking one by Duke Cruz.
That's how Cruz has to score at Davis, go around him, because he's not going to be able to go through him or over the top of him.
Back to a 4-point lead. 5 minutes into the second half. Things heating up. 2 teams in desperate need of a win in the SEC, and they both know it. Davis, this time on the low block, trying to spin to the baseline, draws a double team and threw it away. Didn't get a lot of help from his teammates moving there, and now chance for a 3-point play on the other end by Jawan Smith.
Great job by Duke Cruz 2 possessions ago to drive it right at Glenn Davis and get to the front of the rim, the highest percentage shot. Then Glenn Davis gets the surround sound defense on him, doesn't square up, and then the lack of transition defense by LSU. And again, because they don't have a true point guard, it shows up on the offensive end by not keeping the floor spaced. It shows up on the defensive end a lot of times by not stopping the dadgum basketball in transition.
And now their starting point guard has got 4 fouls and on the bench as the three-point play is capped by Jawan Smith. And Temple won't be a factor for a long time if he ever gets back in this game and has any kind of effect. And a steal by Tab. Nope, he stepped on the baseline, but that would have been his 3rd steal. He is just creating havoc with that full court pressure. It's number 25, the freshman out of Carbondale, Illinois. He has forced this year 6 times the guy he's guarding into 5-second counts, which is incredible. You can go sometimes a whole season and get one of those. Sure. And I can see why, because he's just all over the place defensively. Here he is on Martin. Davis, a crossover dribble and hammers it, but he got fouled before he got to the rack.
He's got to cut down the distance of the pass. He throws it in, but look at the path he takes. He comes this way, away from the passer, makes that pass about 6 feet longer. That's how you get it stolen.
Boy, good jump shot from Roll on the baseline. And Roll's got 7. Back to a 5-point game. Knocked out of bounds. It'll be Tennessee ball.
Talk about the importance of this ball game. And again, for LSU, they are running out of opportunities to get quality resume wins. They got a chance tonight. At Tennessee, at Kentucky, and Florida are still on their schedule. They need all 3 of them if they can get them.
And a whistle, and they're going to call a foul. They are. It's going to be on Tasman Mitchell, his 2nd. Childress will inbound on the baseline for Tennessee. Fresh shot clock. And now a push. Boy, it's really sticky in there. And Glenn Davis trying to lobby with Jim Burr, and it's not doing him any good. He picks up his 2nd foul. Those were 2 really touchy fouls back to back. I mean, there's not much there. And now it's ripped out of there, almost stolen by Mitchell. LSU, John Brady trying to turn up the defensive pressure. They have done so on this Tennessee possession as Chris Lofton's back in the lineup. Long 3, and he got it. First one of the night, 71st of the year, and he just woke up Thompson Bowling Arena. And LSU turns it over.
And this is where Chris Lofton is capable of knocking down another one. He is a momentum shooter and a contested shooter.
Well, he's going to get help from his friends. Jordan Howell says, let me try one. LSU's got to take a timeout right now. They had cut the lead to 2. And it's back to 11. With 13:43 to go in the ball game, Tennessee on an 11-2 run.
Tennessee spurts out to an 11-point lead, and it's all triggered by Chris Lofton. And again, I think he's the best contested jump shooter in all of college basketball. Watch him right here. Again, a bad ankle, but he sweeps that basketball low and gets him into his momentum. Doesn't always jump high, but he jumps the same height every time. Then the very next trip down, hits his buddy Jordan Howell off a little bit of a shape screen up top. And John Brady says, that's what we can't have. A Tennessee with a boom, quick 6-0 run.
Tennessee 4 field goals in a row. And the biggest lead of the ball game now, 11. So it's danger zone time for the visiting Tigers, without a doubt. They'll try a 3. No answer there. Rebound comes off to Duke Cruz. And now a foul on Ben Voog. Dave Repson's got a SportsCenter 30-30 update.
Jim Caldwell will meet with Jones tomorrow. And Phillip Rivers will not need surgery to repair his injured foot. The Chargers quarterback remains in a hard cast. He hurt that foot in the season finale. Details on SportsCenter after the game. ESPN News on all the time, Brad.
All right, Dave, thanks. Glenn Davis Pulls down his 5th rebound off that miss by Tennessee. As let's see if LSU can put a few more spurts together. Remember now they're playing with Boog at the point instead of Garrett Temple, who's out with 4 fouls.
They'll be patient enough to get Glenn Davis the basketball. There he is.
Rebound, Lazar. And it's blocked out of bounds. And it's going to go to Tennessee. So it's off Lazar after the shot was blocked, and the Volunteers get it back. And the frustration showing on John Brady right now, too.
Brad, last year, Glenn Davis, he looked for contact. He's not looking for contact in this ball game. Again, he's only getting 3 free throw attempts per game in the SEC. He should be averaging 7, 8, 9 free throws per ball game.
A lot's been made of the fact that he's changed his eating habits and has dropped some weight, added muscle. He does look a lot more defined. And his numbers are as good as last year. He comes in averaging 18.5 points, which is right where he was last year, and actually 1 more rebound than he had a game last year. He's the #1 rebounder in the conference. But you're right, Jimmy. He's doing this kind of stuff, which is great if it goes. But when you've got that kind of body down low, that's where you'd like to have it. Childress for 3. Long Karam comes out to LSU, and then Childress stole it back and gave it back. Nice hustle by Childress in both cases.
Well, you get loose with that basketball against Tennessee. They will come from behind with that Wolf defender as well as anyone in this league.
Voog got bumped en route to the hoop. That's led throughout.
Think we'll make it?
A wild finish between Providence and Cincinnati. Providence was down 8 with less than 2 minutes to go. Down 2 here. Sherrod Curry hits the runner.
This one has never been that close. In fact, the closest this game has been 2 points in this half, 43-41. But since that time, an 11-2 run for Tennessee with 11:51 to go in the ball game, and LSU just keeps turning it over. 16 turnovers, and now mugging on the other end as Lazar picks up the foul, and it'll send Tennessee to the free throw line.
LSU with more turnovers than made shots in this ball game, still with 11:47 to go. Guards just get out and run, get an angle, have to foul hard at the rim to stop it. You cannot win championships or even finish 500 in a league if your lead guard is not a stud and guys around him can't just make the proper pass at the proper time. And what did AC Law do at Kansas on Saturday night? Took the game over, took the ball to the right spots on the floor. You got to have one.
AC Law only had 4 points in the matchup against LSU earlier this year, and a lot of that was courtesy of the defense of Garrett Temple. And Temple, if he just joined us, is on the bench with 4 fouls and has been for quite some time. So that takes a big defensive chunk out of the LSU Tiger lineup as well. There's Temple on the bench, and there's 2 more for Ramar Smith. 8 points for Smith. And now the lead is 13, and it's going to get bigger if they score this trip. A little too fancy underneath. Tennessee does keep the ball, though. Jawan Smith on a floater off the glass. And they're going to wave this one off. Offensive foul. And Jawan doesn't have any reaction.
That's just a flurry of how Tennessee wants to play. Get that game scrambled, get guys chasing the basketball. Big Baby rotates over, gets his feet set, and draws the charge. And maybe that flurry will be a wake-up call for LSU because there's a couple of shots thrown out there that got guys upside the head.
Temple back in there. 4 fouls and all. Trying to run the show. Davis looking inside, not trying to work his own body inside, and he's fouled. And this will be on Chisholm. Second foul on Wayne. Tennessee last year went 22-8, 12-4 to take first of the East. They swept South Carolina, the NIT champions, and they swept Florida, the NCAA champions. So that's why all the high hopes in Knoxville. But of course, they don't have quite the same team they had last year either. And the last 4 games plus has been without the leading scorer in the conference, Chris Lofton, who is back tonight And Tasman Mitchell's been the big scorer tonight for LSU. He's got 18 points. He's single-handedly keeping them within striking distance.
Tennessee comes down and goes to their spread offense again. The two guards high out top. The three guys along the baseline just continue to run a baseline shuffle. Eventually, if there's a breakdown, we'll have a wide-open 15-footer off of this or a driving alley.
10 on the shot clock, 10.5 in the game. Chisholm not looking at the basket or the shot clock. Now he takes Chisholm's trail and misses the shot. Childress got it back, and he's fouled. And that's going to be on Lazar, and that's 3 on him.
Brett, because they run that baseline shuffle, there's always guys that are running from the corners to the front of the rim as an offensive rebounder. We saw Juwan Smith do it at the end of the half, and this time it's Childress. He's a screener. He steps to the corner and then follows the drive right to the front of the rim. Tennessee pretty good on the offensive glass with that baseline shuffle operating along the baseline.
Childress has really done a nice job with his hustle play off the Tennessee bench. And though he missed the free throw, 7 points. Some rebounds and steals. Knocked down the second one. 8 for Ryan, the sophomore out of Cincinnati. And here comes the full court heat again. And they throw it away again. Chisholm, the finger roll won't go. And now LSU trying to run.
And again, the guy making the pass inbounds for LSU almost cost him again, Brad. He's got to come towards the basketball and cut down the distance of that reversal pass.
You saw that difference between turnovers and field goals that Jimmy was talking about. It's reached 19 turnovers rather now. And still, they'd love to have 19 field goals. Let's see if the big guy can get them one. Misses on the outside. Childress for the rebound. Past the midway point of the second half, an 11-point advantage for Tennessee. Davis with a block. Tigers run, and Mitchell scores again. 20 for Mitchell. And a timeout. 57-48. Tennessee maintains the lead, but now it's down to single digits with 9 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in the ball game. All is not lost for these two teams, even though they come in 2-6 and 3-5 respectively in the SEC, and neither team are ranked. They were ranked earlier in the season. They got up there pretty high, but of course this time last year teams like Florida weren't ranked number 1 either.
You know, all of our focus and attention right now is on the top 3 or 4 teams and who's going to make the Final Four, but I think this is really interesting to follow throughout the year. A year ago this time, the Final Four teams that eventually made it, Florida, UCLA, and LSU, George Mason, they were ranked 6th, 12th, 26th, and 33rd this week last year. Well, this week, Pittsburgh is 6th, Marquette is 12th, West Virginia is 26th, and look at the 33rd team right now, Virginia Commonwealth. What's the coincidence? They lead the Colonial Athletic Association. That's where George Mason came out of last year. The other 3 teams are out of the Big East. But you just kind of have to keep an eye on those teams that may be off the radar a little bit, maybe in one of those lesser leagues like a VCU that coached by a former Florida assistant. Better keep an eye on them.
Here it's the two teams that were top in each division last year in the SEC battling it out, and LSU's in the basement of the West coming into this game, and they're going to stay there unless they can turn this around in the next 9 minutes. And Glenn Davis picks up his 3rd foul. It is, as we told you earlier, time for these teams to step up, as LSU was all the way up there in the preseason. They have lost 5 straight to fall out of the poll. Tennessee started the season number 24. They reached as high as 16, but they have lost 6 of their last 8. They haven't lost at home, though, and it looks like that might stay in effect if they can hold on the next 9 minutes or so.
When you look at Tennessee's resume right now, the 3 quality wins obviously are Oklahoma State, Memphis, and Texas. A great loss at Ohio State. And again, Chris Lofton gets back healthy. This is a club that's capable of getting in that NCAA tournament and winning a couple of ball games that first weekend.
Again, the pressure of Tennessee almost got to LSU for what would have been their 20th turnover of the ball game. 10-point game. They've got to find a hot hand, the Tigers, be it inside or outside. Their shooting's been horrendous tonight. There, that'll help. That's a three by Terry Martin. Martin with his second three-pointer of the night.
Every 30 minutes that he's on the floor, you know he's a three-point shooter. Tennessee has to make him dribble into his shot better than what they just did.
Taking 13 free throws all year. Again, the crowd got quiet after that three-point shot and that timeout.
Try to lull you to sleep with that motion along the baseline. The guards are happy to play catch with it up top and try to let you make a mistake.
Smith on a runner. He just willed that one in. Only Lamar's second field goal and went through the hands of a couple of LSU defenders and still found the bottom of the net.
Without Big Baby, they've become a perimeter ball club, and that has not been their strength so far this season. If I'm LSU, I try to drive this basketball right now and at least get to the free throw strike.
They're trying, and it's going to be possession error. Will keep it on LSU's end of the court. Nice job defensively by Cruz and company. 9-point Tennessee lead on their home floor. Trying to hang on for their 16th win here in rivalry week.
Volvo. Experience the full line of 2007 Volvos. Who would you give a Volvo to? Volvo for life. And Cisco. Welcome to the Human Network.
We're under 8 minutes. Tennessee has led this one throughout on Super Tuesday, presented by Lexus, and our rivalry week presented by Cisco. You got none of those fancy teams for me.
Tied right now for the league lead, and those guys are leading their ball clubs, and I think those guys deserve some, hey, talk about me a little bit.
I like that.
Best players on best teams in the conference. The smile on his face, the chest pounding that we saw out of him last year. And even in this ball game, I know his numbers aren't great, but he just doesn't have that extra oomph that he had last year as a big fella.
Oh, Johnson hits a three. He's only taken 5 3-pointers this year, but he's hit 3 of them. The 6'11 sophomore, that's a gutsy shot. Cuts it to 5. I don't know if that's the one they're looking for, but they'll take it.
And for LSU to have any shot of an NCAA berth, they have got to win this basketball game. Try to sneak their way back into contention.
And then Bradshaw goes right by everybody, and he's got a chance for an old-fashioned 3.
On track.
And the problem, Johnson had the Olay defense on Bradshaw on the other end, and might end up giving the points back. Tennessee shooting 59% in the last 8 games from the free throw line. That'll get you beat in a lot of close games. Bradshaw got one. And almost turning it over again. LSU down 6, and we're under 7 to play. Still all kinds of time for either team to take over the ball game. Or will it come down to the wire like a couple that we've seen tonight? Davis missed the jumper, and the rebound is Tad. Ahead. That's a dangerous pass to Chris Lofton, who one-handed it right in front of us.
And again, Davis ran to the perimeter under his own will. He did not want to lock in on that low block and go to work.
And the ball knocked out of bounds. Remind me into HD. Tennessee keeps possession. The possession never changed, so the shot clock is still winding at 15. Smith gives it off to Lofton. Thought he was going to try a fadeaway there, but he doesn't. And now Bradshaw will. And kept alive again by Smith. And then Bradshaw. And now the loose balls are going Tennessee's way. They're beating LSU to every punch.
Those 50-50 balls and deflections that Tennessee usually grades out with a lead. There's another one.
There's another one. Bradshaw ends up with more steals and more garbage rebounds and more hustle plays than I think anybody in the Southeastern Conference.
It will really frustrate John Brady, because if anything, his ball club is built to be a terrific rebounding ball club. And again, they're only +1 overall in SEC games. That's a point of frustration.
They got a lot of long arms, but their hands aren't very good tonight. I'll say that. I'm agreeing with you. Smith off the glass with a finger roll. Lamar Smith, 12 for the game. And Glenn Davis has got to bring it down for LSU. Got an open man. It's Mitchell. He got a great look at a three. Bradshaw's 6th rebound of the ball game. Tab, that's going to be an offensive foul as Davis got good position on the baseline. Go, and when leading or tied with 5 minutes to go, Bruce Pearl doesn't lose often in his 2 years here.
And on the flip side, that has been LSU's problem this year, is trying to close out basketball games. And again, it's their lack of a point guard, a stud at that lead guard spot that really gets exposed in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Go back to AC Law on the road Saturday in Lawrence, Kansas, replaces Rock and Rock Chalk Jayhawk, and he comes in and finishes that dude off.
Again, Glenn Davis has only 2 field goals tonight. This guy just keeps putting it in there, and he's just matched his career high. Tasman Mitchell with 23.
They ran this offense time and time again in this ballgame. 2 guards stationary up top. And watch the 3 guys along the baseline with a little flex cut. Allows the guards to penetrate.
Bradshaw almost slipped. This is the shot. Davis going to the floor for it. And it won't earn him the basketball. It stays on Tennessee's end with a possession error. Best hustle we've seen by Big Baby tonight. Going to the deck. All 289 pounds of him. And he still couldn't come up with a loose ball.
Brad John Brady knows if he loses this ball game, they don't fly home tonight on a chartered plane. They float home on a great big bubble.
Yeah, you got that right.
At best, it's a great big bubble.
Might be getting burst right in front of our eyes. 2-7 in this conference. And a 3 goes for Howell, his 2nd of this half. And back to a 9-point advantage. Can LSU do anything about it with 4 minutes left? Now everybody up at Thompson-Bowling's 17,274 are watching it. And they're watching another turnover by LSU. Only this time, with the held ball, it'll still be LSU basketball after the break. A little bit of a smile there for the coach. Not a smile on the LSU side.
We said at the top of the show, both these clubs are fighting for their NCAA tournament life. Jordan Howell with a big, deep breath for Tennessee to stay alive.
Dave also coming up on SportsCenter. Celtics, do they need Oden or Durant? I think Doc, my old buddy Doc Rivers, would take either one right now. Dale Jr.'s future with Dale Earnhardt Industries, and all forgiven between Belichick and Tomlinson. That must mean they're in Hawaii at the Pro Bowl together, and they have to kiss and make good. That's all coming up on SportsCenter in about 3.5 minutes. 5 seconds on the shot clock. LSU needs points. They need a good shot. They're not even going to get one. Coming out of a timeout, you've got to be aware. The time, who's got the ball, and coach is trying to tell him that. Well, it's too late now.
And especially when it occurs in front of your bench, you can maybe accept it when it's at the other end of the floor, but when the timeout and the ball is right in front of your bench in the second half, that should never happen.
Nope. Now Tennessee wants to use some clock. They're not in any hurry to add to the point total.
Partner, I don't know if you agree with me yet, but I take Kevin Durant, #1 pick overall in that draft.
Oh boy, that's such a tough call. Bradshaw on the inside misses. Davis with a rebound. It's hard to turn down a 7-foot shot blocking guy that's 19 years and 1 month old, but you and I have seen Durant, and I love him. I just absolutely love him.
And how do you bypass a kid that is not locked into a position? He can play anywhere he wants to on the floor.
Yep.
Kevin Durant would score in an NBA game tonight, no matter what game you put him in.
Well, those guys are going to talk about it on SportsCenter tonight while we argue about it here with 2:36 to go, and another turnover, over 20 now for LSU. For the second year in a row playing Tennessee, 20 turnovers or more for the Tigers. And those last two might be the two that put the nail in this game for the Volunteers, because right now all they're worried about is using some clock, trying to get it down around 2 minutes before they even put a shot up with a 9-point lead. Here's Smith from 3. And the rebound is all LSU's. They've got to hustle down court and get a good shot. We're under 2 minutes. Martin is fouled en route to the basket.
LSU and the Washington Huskies, you'd be hard-pressed to find two teams that at one point had lofty expectations and were ranked, and in the last 3 weeks have just gone spiraling south, those two ball clubs.
Does it have something to do with the purple and gold uniforms?
I think it is. You've got to change your school colors at this point.
I don't know. Meanwhile, the white and orange clad Volunteers in front of their big home crowd. Looks like they're going to stay undefeated at home, as they're a minute 40 away from it. But still, 7-point difference. LSU needs a stop and points on the other end and try to get it down one possession at a time to try to get back in the ball game here in the last 90 seconds. Don't forget, SportsCenter follows us in a minute 33. And the ball's going to be out of bounds to LSU. So here's a chance for the Tigers.
Tennessee trying to keep LSU in this ball game with unforced turnovers. Now LSU has to come down quickly with a quick hitter and get this thing up on the rim.
Here's their opening for 3. Doesn't go, though, and Bradshaw another rebound.
When you don't have a point guard on the road and you can't make open jump shots, LSU continues to get plagued by the two questions that had the LSU question mark back in November.
Whistle and a foul on Lazar. That's 4 on Lazar. Bradshaw has 8 rebounds, the senior out of Memphis, as he goes to the free throw line, leading the team in rebounding.
If Chris Lofton over the next couple of weeks, Brad, gets back to full speed on that ankle, they've got to finish off their homestand right now with Vanderbilt and Kentucky coming in. I think those are 3 wins in a row for Tennessee that they have to secure their spot. This would be one of those 3.
Bradshaw's got another rebound off his own miss. LSU bringing it down in a hurry. Final 45 seconds. Nice drive by Garrett Temple. And a timeout, LSU. 2-possession game, 45 seconds. Not quite over yet. LSU's got 1 timeout remaining. 67-61. Jawan Smith right now, the leading scorer of 15 points for Tennessee. Here he is on the run. And he's going to be our Jordan Takeover player of the game. 15 points, 5 boards, and 5 steals. Great all-around game by Jawan Smith, the 6'2 junior out of Cleveland, Tennessee. And he has been averaging 20-plus in 4 of the last 5 games, so he probably won't get to 20 in this game. But a guy who was their top 6th man last year is the man, our Jordan Takeover player of the game tonight.
He's had to take over with Chris Lofton, although Lofton played tonight in this ball game, certainly not full speed at all. Again, if Lofton gets back, this is a Tennessee club now. Remember, with those 3 quality wins they've had over Oklahoma State, Memphis, and Texas, and the ability to play Ohio State to a last-second shot on the road tells you the danger of this Tennessee ball club again.
And Glenn Davis trying to stay with Powell on the baseline, picks up his 4th foul, and that's 1 less point than he has tonight. That's a season low. We mentioned earlier 8 points against Washington and 12 rebounds, so he did a pretty good job on the glass, but he was not a factor offensively at all tonight, and as Jimmy and I said, just didn't look like himself at all, because we've seen him have dominant games. I mean, this is a guy coming off a 27-point, 10-rebound, 3-assist game in a losing effort, and now another losing effort with the number 2 scorer having a tough night. The #1 scorer at least got back in the fray, and that's Chris Lofton, who's going to finish with 8 points tonight, 1 3-pointer and 5 free throws, but at least he got back on that bad ankle and got some work. That'll make Tennessee better down the stretch. Temple, 3 rattles out, rebound, collision underneath, and they're going to say Tennessee touched it last, even though it looked like Davis was a little bit out of control and over the back of those 2 Tennessee players. The Vols will have to play defense here for 19 more seconds as they're up 7, and LSU is going to take its final timeout, or is this Tennessee's timeout? Either way, we got a break with 19.4. This is the opening of a 3-game homestand for Tennessee, and after being on the road so often, 5 of their last 8 games are at home. And as Jimmy said, and said it so well, you get Chris Lofton back, get him some time. In the meantime, the one thing that did happen is some of the other players around Chris have had to take up the slack, like Jawan Smith, who was our player of the game tonight. But now you take a look at the East standings, and Tennessee apparently is going to move up a little bit more. Vanderbilt, you take Florida out of the mix. This is my opinion. You take Florida out of the mix, I think Vandy's playing as well as anybody in the SEC.
Yeah, they're making about 10 3-point shots a ball game, and that's the Vanderbilt club that comes in here over the weekend. And my concern in this ball game, Brad, right now though is LSU and Glenn Davis. Where's he going right now? Because he wasn't the same guy at shoot around today that we saw. He's not performed like that today. I'm not so sure the frustration of defenses always surrounding him, nowhere to go with the basketball, is starting to wear on this kid, because we don't see the smile, the infectious attitude that he normally embraces people with. He just looks bothered right now, and the whole season might start to really be weighing on this big guy's shoulders.
Yep. As I mentioned earlier, some of the personal problems with his family is not helping the cause any. And that no doubt is weighing on it too. Here's Martin for 3, and 3 it is for Terry Martin. His second of this half, third of the game. And it's a 4-point game with 11.6 remaining. So it's still 2-possession game, but if LSU could get a quick steal or send Tennessee to the free throw line and hope they miss, they might not be out of it yet. So it was a foul, and it was on Temple, and that's it for Temple. Here's the SEC West. Alabama, beginning of the season.
LSU on the verge of going to the bottom of the SEC West and maybe staying there, because at some point John Brady has to be really concerned about, can he get his kids up for the next game.
Well, last year they won their final 3 road games of the year. They're going to have to pray for something like that to happen, because this is going to make them 0-5 on the SEC road. Martin misses. Voog's going to have to try to put one up from long range, and he got it. 3-pointer with 1.9 to make it a 3-point game, but it's all over. Big win for Tennessee. They hold their home court with a 70-67 win. They go to 16-8, 4-5 in conference play. The Tigers fall to 13-10, 2-7 now in the SEC West. Don't forget, Sports Center is next. For more on this game, you can join us for Post-Game Extra on ESPN News. That's going to do it from Knoxville. For Heather Cox, Jimmy Dykes, Brad Nessler, this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.